We're discussing 3 popular myths in psychology that have been debunked. Power posing, humans only using 10% of our brain, and opposites attract.
I know all these. Okay, awesome, cool.
Welcome to Psych Papers, a podcast
man.
of bad content where we discuss controversial and intriguing psychology studies and concepts. And we conduct our own follow-up research inspired by the episode's topics. I'm Chris Cole. I have a PhD in psychology, and this is my co-host, Joseph Tajaran.
I'm his friend.
In today's episode, we're going over 3 psychology concepts that have been debunked. Joseph, have you heard of power posing?
I have, yeah. I learned that I had a communications professor back in my undergrad make fun of the idea that I think this is power posing or a version of it where you do the triangle hands, like very, very popular when you're doing a presentation. Yeah, she made fun of the fact that I don't know if this really helps at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen that as it's like the Andrew Tate hands.
Yeah.
It's like that. You make a diamond. And then there's also the Shark Tank entrepreneur hand where you just put your fingers together. Just your fingers. You don't clasp them together. You just do this.
This feels like this is a less natural. At least for this one. I don't know. They're both not really natural things.
Oh, not that natural. I think the larger problem is that when people are giving presentations, nobody knows what to do with their hands.
Yeah.
So it's just and I guess putting them in your pockets is bad. So they're just like, hey, do that. So power posing is one of those controversial life hacks. It's a psychological concept that suggests that adopting expansive, confident body postures can influence you psychologically and physiologically. Apparently, power posing can boost your feelings of power, confidence, and assertiveness. So it's this idea of if you're standing up, you have your legs kind of spread out and you have your kind of hands at your side and you're flaring your elbows out, kind of making a very assertive or, a power pose.
Mm-hmm. Like man spreading? You mean like man spreading? You know how men put their legs out when they're sitting down? But I
guess
that's
what they should have called it. Man posing.
Man posing?
Yeah. Power spreading. That's something else. Okay.
Yuck.
This idea was first suggested in a 2010 study by Carney, Cuddy, and Yap. It came to prominence 2010. It's pretty recent.
Okay.
Yeah. But it came to prominence through a popular TED Talk by Amy Cuddy in 2012. The study proposed that assuming power poses, such as standing with an upright posture and open body language, could lead to increased testosterone levels and decreased cortisol levels, which are associated with confidence and stress reduction, respectively. However, in 2015, a number of researchers started to publish findings indicating that they were unable to replicate the effect. And in 2016, Carney, one of the original researchers, issued a statement abandoning the theory. Despite this, Cuddy continued her research, asserting she had data demonstrating that posture feedback can at least make people feel more powerful.
So it was debunked, but she's like, nah, dog, I'm right about this, and she just doubled down on it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I think man.
So. Or it might be something that she has kind of made the claims of power posing more specific. Okay, maybe it doesn't increase testosterone levels. Maybe it doesn't decrease cortisol.
But it makes you more confident?
But if it makes you feel more confident,
yeah,
that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Today, power posing is often cited as an example of the replication crisis in psychology. My take is that it might not be real. But if it's real to you, then that's all that matters. If it makes you feel more confident, fuck it. Who cares? Yeah, if you have a big interview and you want to stand outside in the hallway power posing because it makes you feel more confident, yeah, fuck it, go for it.
Yeah, I'm all for those psychosomatic stuff. If it gives you a feeling that's unexplainable or maybe not replicable by others, why not? Mm-hmm. Why not do the stupid pose? If it makes you, if you have no idea what to do with your hands, right?
Yeah, even if it's a bunch of bullshit, if it makes you feel better. It's those weird rituals that people might have before sports games. Oh, I'm about to play a big baseball game. I need to wear 2 socks of different colors for good luck. And if that makes you feel better and that makes you like feel like you play better, you know, it's harmless.
Is the issue for this is that it's just hard to replicate? Like maybe it is possible that she had ran a study and maybe she had gotten some results, but when other people had replicated it, that it's just not it's hard to duplicate the same effect
Yeah,
she discovered.
yeah. If there's a real effect, other researchers should be able to recreate that effect. And when I say recreate, I mean run the same study in their lab and obtain the same types of data or
Mm.
effects.
That must be like a hard thing though, because like if this person who did come up with this research probably made a name for themselves, and as we've talked about in previous episodes, like maybe like offline, like you know, academics who have the research out in the open that's even reachable to the mainstream public, that's a big deal, right? Not a lot of people will get that.
Huge. Yeah. It's one, it's like it's great to get published, period. Two, it's great to have
You could
like,
speak to that.
50 other nerds. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's great to have like 50 other nerds or academics reading it. Most people will just read the abstract, but to get into like mainstream, like pop culture, to the point where now it's kind of a household term, that's a
Mm-hmm.
big deal.
So yeah, it must be hard for your confidence to accept, or just must be most embarrassing, right? Because like you spent sometimes maybe because I wouldn't doubt this person went into this thinking that it was like not real, right? That they were. I mean, like I'm thinking best case, like they came to this thinking that's actually real, but
Yeah,
upon further investigation, it turns out to not be as true as I thought it would be.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's
I
tough.
mean, it makes sense. The idea behind it of power posing, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it might just be a tiny, marginal, negligible effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
There's other factors maybe in play that provides you that
Yeah.
confidence you need. Yeah.
Now, I did learn about that when I was in undergrad. I learned about that in my social psychology class, power posing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I need to employ this as much as I can. So I was going in for an interview to be a research assistant at one of the social psych labs at my
Uh-huh.
college.
Uh-huh.
And I was really nervous. So outside, I was like standing in the hallway. I didn't realize that all you needed to do was like stand with like your arms bent at like your side. I thought the idea was to make yourself as big as possible. So I stood there starfishing with my legs spread and my arms spread, just kind of taking up space, like waving around. And you know what? I never felt more confident, and I got that research assistantship. Okay, so
All right, so if there's anything you take away from this podcast, walk around like a starfish, like Patrick Star.
Yep. If it makes you feel better, and it's harmless,
Why
go for it.
not? Yeah.
The myth that humans only use 10% of our brains.
Oh boy, juicy.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
A survey in 2013 found that 65%, almost 2/3 of people, believe that we only use 10% of our brains. It's a widely circulated but inaccurate idea that suggests that the majority of our brain's capacity remains untapped or dormant. This myth has been perpetuated in popular culture, such as the movie Lucy, in which Scarlett Johansson's character gains superhuman abilities when she unlocks the supposed unused portions of her brain, and the movie Limitless, in which Bradley Cooper's character takes a pill that allows him to access the full potential of his brain, unlocking extraordinary cognitive abilities. Both of these films are rooted in the concept of the 10% brain myth. Have you heard of this one before, Joseph?
I have, but I feel like it's one of those. It feels akin to like a old wives' tale. Like you just hear offhand from somebody else mentioning that to you as like a fun fact or trivia.
As in, it's kind of like one of those urban legends, but nobody actually thought it to be
Yeah,
scientifically accurate.
I've never known that, like the originator. I don't know where that came from. Sort of just heard it from another source, or just another person.
Yeah. The exact origin of the myth is unclear, although the 10% brain myth has been debunked by neuroscientific research, showing that almost all of our brains are active at all times.
Damn. Got
fMRI
him.
studies got them. fMRI studies can measure activity in the brain while a person is performing different tasks, Using this and similar methods, researchers demonstrated that most of our brain is in use most of the time, even when a person is performing a very simple action.
Mm,
Even when we're asleep, a lot of the brain is active.
mm. So wait, just so I understand this right. So your brain is being used at all points, right? And there isn't like an idea that there's certain parts of the brain not meeting their full capability. It sounds like your brain is always meeting what is expected for it to do.
Most of your brain is usually almost always active. Different parts of your brain serve different functions. Different parts can be more or less active depending on what you're doing or thinking
Mm,
about.
mm-hmm.
All that being said, the 10% brain myth is a good plot device in movies and can
Sure.
create some
Yeah.
pretty cool fiction.
Yeah.
Um, Clearly, people are drawn to the idea of having like these unused mental capabilities. Like I have all of this power trapped inside my head
Mm.
that just needs someone to like open the door, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really was a genius this whole time. I just needed to unlock it. It's
Yeah.
like
Is it?
I can see why people are drawn to it.
I don't. I'm trying to think of how that's inserted into conversations though. It's like I'm not stupid. I just don't use my full brain capacity.
I'm only at 5% right now. Don't even make me go to 8%. You don't even want that.
Dude, at 6%, it's over. At 6%, don't even think about it, dude.
Dude, my wife doesn't even get 5%, okay?
What makes you think I'm gonna go above 3 for you, dude? Come on.
I'm on cruise control around most people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a 15-incher. What can I say?
What?
Cut that
15
joke.
incher?
Cut that joke. Cut that
What does
joke.
that mean?
50%er, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, I said 15 incher.
I did say 15-incher, but
Oh,
yeah, it didn't pan out as well as
got
I
it.
thought.
Cool.
I was using my brain, my full
You only,
capacity for that
dude,
joke.
you're only using 10%.
Now,
Should have used the other 90.
so what I do know is true, and is that I think the a full adult brain for men and women, don't reach full capacity until like mid-20s or something, right? I think that's different for both men and women. That is true.
Yep,
Okay.
which is different. That's about brain development.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, like all parts of the brain will be used at all stages of life.
Okay.
The next myth in psychology, that opposites attract, is a common belief that suggests that people with contrasting personalities, interests, or characteristics are more likely to form romantic relationships or be attracted to each other. This myth has been perpetuated in pop culture, such as movies like Beauty and the Beast, Grease, and 50 Shades of Grey. However, the idea that opposites attract has been largely debunked by psychological research and theories of attraction. Have you heard this expression or myth
Oh
before,
yeah,
Joseph?
I probably used this myself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody has, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's very applicable to a certain situation.
It feels that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But how has the myth been debunked? The biggest debunker of this myth is the similarity attraction hypothesis. Research consistently shows that people are more likely to be attracted to those who share similar values, attitudes, interests, and backgrounds. The similarity you have with your partner creates a sense of familiarity, compatibility, and comfort, which can in turn enhance quality and longevity of relationships. And I feel like everybody should be able to relate to this. We generally want someone similar to us, whether that's in our sense of humor, relationship style, political values, social values, family values, just like run down the list, like everything.
When people meet me and my wife, it's like when they meet me first, you get a certain palette of me, which is, very as I've been told, intense, quote unquote. And my wife is not that at all. She's a very, Chris met her, is like very subdued, quiet person. And I think I've gotten the question like, how do you guys even like I mean, I used to think that before, like, oh, we're just like so different. But like as time went on, it's like, oh, actually, we're actually very similar people. Like we're both, and then I think it's just like a slight personality switch. But like our values are exactly the same. We have the same political like affiliation. We have like same ideas on how we want to like help people and help the world. We're actually like foundationally like very similar, and we agree on like most things.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't doubt that would be the case for most people, right? Like it's even to the extent where, like when we go voting, like we probably will vote for the same people. Um, like it's yeah, we're pretty similar in that way.
Yeah. And I feel like that's probably the case for most successful relationships where the Venn diagram of similarities and differences, it's probably super overlapping. It's like
Yeah,
mostly almost a circle, and the differences are fairly minimal.
right. And then the differences that you do have can right, and that comes to like relationship style, like certain values or
Hmm.
whatever. But those are things that I feel like, and I don't know if this stems from your study as well, but I feel like there are some things that are very foundational, right? And maybe that's different for many people, but for me, it's like, I political ideology, like similar values. Um, but then there's other things as like, oh, just things you're interested in, right? We have some things that we're interested in, some things we're like, we have very like contrasting differences, and I think that's okay. I think that's always going to happen. I think.
Yeah, there are kind of foundational similarities you have, like must haves, and then like nice to haves, and then like doesn't matter if they haves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you'll like this next part though. So, complementary versus compatibility. Research shows that long term relationship success is often associated with compatibility rather than complementarity. New word.
Mm,
So, compatibility means having shared goals, values, and ways of approaching life's challenges, while complementarity refers to differences that can enhance a relationship. So, while still untrue, a better saying than opposites attract would be complements attract. Differences that create a balance that work well together. For example, if one person is a good talker and the other a good listener. Compatibility, on the other hand, is about having shared values, goals, and interests. It's akin to being on the same page in life. Some relationships thrive on those complementary differences, adding excitement, while others prefer compatibility, aiming for harmony and shared life paths. Most relationships have a bit of both. So, when it comes down to it, I don't know if anybody actually believes the myth that opposites attract. I think it might just be a fitting expression for certain situations that friends or family sometimes finds themselves in. When you ask somebody what they look for in a partner, they're almost always going to list off a bunch of things that they want to be similar to them.
mm-hmm.
Similar sense of humor, similar interests, similar values. Rarely does the word different pop up in that
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? That
Yeah.
isn't that exactly? I haven't done any research on that, nor have I read any. But I put money, nor have I even experienced this for that matter, because I've never done online dating. But like when you're like looking through someone's profile, I can only assume you're looking for things that check, like to check off things that you like, and I assume the things you like are things that are you.
Yeah. And we're also immediately looking for things to write them off on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They're like,
Like red
oh,
flags or
like
whatever. Yeah,
Republican, nope, or Democrat, nope.
yeah.
Immediate things that differ from themselves that be like, okay, nope, not even going to consider this person
Yeah, those
because
are
it's different
interesting
from
categories.
me.
I would not even think about, like drug usage or like drugs or alcohol. I think that's an
Yeah.
option, like in Hinge or something.
Yeah. And a lot of these things are like, okay, whether or not you do recreational drugs or not, that's one thing, but that is probably like some type of latent variable. That's representative of some other underlying personality trait.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like risk aversion or openness to new
Mm.
experiences, or yeah, how willing to engage you are to engage in like risky behaviors. Even all of these dating apps, it's like eHarmony, Match.com, like the OGs. I'm pretty sure they have you like take a quiz on yourself, your personality. Are you an
Is that
early
right?
bird? Are you a night owl?
Shit, I
And then
don't
they try
know.
to like match you up based on the similarities.
Using an algorithm,
Like
yeah.
clearly they're going to do what's most successful, and if opposites are really attracted, then their algorithms wouldn't be working the way that they are.
Can you imagine? You have to find some other values or differences or similarities, and like, can you imagine dating someone who has a different, who's like religious and you're not, and then
Yeah, I
because
can.
in or someone who has different political affiliation from you or not. Yeah, there has to be some things
Yeah.
that are similar, right? Because there's give and pull. Like in your situation, like there's a give and pull on that and a negotiation on how that's done.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning earlier, I don't know who really like believes in it truly, other than just like you said, like just waving off, like, oh yeah, we're opposites talk about. I feel like that's a
It's like a fun
statement that,
expression.
yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe not thought as hard, but I'm like, no, you two are very similar people in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the similarities get washed out in light of like the few differences. If you're still watching or listening, thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.